We have always opposed interference in other countries' internal affairs, consistently advocated that the sovereignty and security of all nations should be fully protected by international law, and opposed the use of force or the threat of it in international relations matters.
China once again voiced strong opposition to what it called US interference in Iran's internal affairs, at a time when global speculation is mounting over the possibility of imminent US military action in the region. On January 12, China's foreign ministry openly backed Tehran, issuing a statement of support even as massive pro-government rallies filled the streets of Iran's capital. The United States has threatened possible military intervention in Iran, following reports from activists claiming that more than 600 protesters have been killed in clashes since December 28. Speaking on January 10, President Donald Trump hinted that the US might soon take decisive steps to defend Iranian protesters facing harsh government crackdowns. Trump added that America stands ready to provide direct assistance to the Iranian people demonstrating against what he called an oppressive regime. In an unexpected move, Trump also announced a sweeping 25% tariff on any nation continuing to conduct business with Iran, signaling further economic pressure.
China hopes that the Iranian government and people can overcome the current difficulties and maintain the country's stability. We have always opposed interference in other countries' internal affairs, consistently advocated that the sovereignty and security of all nations should be fully protected by international law, and opposed the use of force or the threat of it in international relations matters. We call on all parties to take actions conducive to peace and stability in the Middle East.
The latest Chinese statement arrived amid growing reports suggesting a wave of anxiety within the US military regarding readiness for a major Iran operation. According to The Telegraph, US military officials have cautioned Trump that American forces would need significant preparation time before launching any strike on Iran. Senior defense sources revealed that the military has told top officials it must first consolidate its positions across the region and reinforce existing defenses before taking offensive action. Military generals reportedly fear that a hastily planned attack could spark widespread retaliation throughout the Middle East, escalating into a far-reaching regional conflict. This is not the first time China has spoken out harshly against what it describes as President Trump's expansionist ambitions and provocative foreign policies. On January 12, Beijing's foreign ministry denounced Trump's recent claims of annexation against Greenland, calling such remarks dangerous and irresponsible. China fired back at the US, accusing Washington of exploiting other nations merely as tools to advance its own global interests and political agenda. The Chinese statement came shortly after Trump revisited his earlier threat to acquire Greenland, reigniting global controversy over his territorial ambitions. A day earlier, on January 11, Trump had publicly declared that he would not allow China or Russia to gain any form of influence or control over Greenland. The US president justified his stance by citing alleged encirclement of the island by Chinese and Russian vessels, using the claim as a reason to pursue direct control. Reports have also surfaced suggesting that Trump instructed US special forces to prepare a preliminary military plan outlining a potential invasion of Greenland. However, the Joint Chiefs of Staff have reportedly warned that such an operation would never receive approval from the US Congress due to its extreme political and legal implications. These sharp escalations come little more than a week after the shocking abduction of Venezuela's president in what global observers have called a modern-day coup. On January 3, US forces launched an unprecedented series of airstrikes across Venezuela, targeting key military and government installations. Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, were reportedly captured by US special forces and flown out of the country under high secrecy. Both Maduro and Cilia are now being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, under the custody of US federal authorities. Maduro has entered a plea of not guilty to narco-terrorism charges during his initial appearance before a federal court in Manhattan. Meanwhile, the US government has declared full administrative control over Venezuela's vast oil reserves and energy infrastructure. On January 12, Trump went a step further, announcing himself as the acting president of Venezuela, a claim that sparked global political outrage. In Iran, a brutal crackdown on nationwide protests has reportedly claimed the lives of more than 600 people, as anger continues to spread. The demonstrations, initially led by students and small business owners, are now centered on frustration over the country's worsening economic collapse. Observers say the unrest represents the most serious challenge to Iran's clerical establishment since the historic Islamic Revolution of 1979.